a lot.
Actually, you find this in a powder and you mix it with
anything,
or?
Yeah, so I'll just mix it in water usually. They're really neat. You'll put them in the water and they just like group together in the little glass. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to swallow that little fruit. So what they do is they help in nutrient bioavailability. So when you take in nutrients, they're going to help utilize those nutrients. If you have if you have all kind of bad probiotic organisms, all the bad organisms, you're not going to really absorb the nutrients you need. The only reason we absorb nutrients is because of the bacteria in our guts actually helping us do it.
What's the best time of day to do it, Brianna?
Anytime's going to be fine.
Anytime?
Yeah. All right, protein powders. If you're on a weight loss protocol, I always say don't take any kind of liquid calories. Protein powders are out if you're trying to lose weight. It's going to really hinder your weight loss quite a bit. One thing you can kind of play with if you're in here training a lot, you can take it after your workout and then see how it goes, and if you're not losing weight, then take it away. It's really kind of an issue of freestyling it. That's what I always say. So you want to try it out. If you're not working out regularly in here or in another gym or anywhere else, really just take away the protein powders. It's going to be your number 3 hindrance on weight loss. So we recommend Stronger, Faster, Healthier. We keep it here. It's the only brand we'll sell. We don't sell anything other than that because we think it's the highest quality product. They're always consistent with their brand, and they work really well with us to give us information on how their cows are raised and all the other information you need. So they have grass-fed, grass-finished cows, so you have the high omega-3 content from the cows. The fat's not going to be as much of an issue because it's a whey protein. You won't get the fats really with it. So what I wrote in here is just, you have 2 kinds of proteins, histines and prolines. They bind differently. With the cows that are fed grass, they're going to bind. Yes.
That isn't up on the screen.
Oh, it's a little bit delayed. So this is a little geek out portion. So you basically have your prolines, they attach well. If you take in the grass-fed, grass-finished protein, it's going to bind well and it's going to hold in there. If you take in a grain-fed protein, it's going to be a histidine. It's going to break off and cause mucus problems. So if you have mucus-related issues, or you take in milk and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm so greasy. I can't take my face, somebody wash my face. That's usually an issue related to that. On a weight loss protocol, we like to get rid of most dairy. Last thing you kind of want to look at is read the book, Devil in the Milk. It's actually a pretty interesting book, kind of fun to read. It's really, yeah. So we'll wait a second for this to catch up. It looks like it's way behind. Maybe I should talk slower. All right, so the next thing we want to look at is vices. Vices are always fun. Everyone, number 1 question, when we were in Utah, nobody had any questions about it, really, but it's alcohol. It's, nix it on the weight loss protocol. It's just going to hinder your weight loss. If you absolutely have to have it, because some people are like, oh no, I can't do this, I'm out, see you later. Tequila is going to be the best.
Okay. What?
I've never had a reaction like that.
Right there.
Yeah. And we actually stock tequila up front. We don't have a
Get a shot at the end.
yes. Maybe we'll have tequila shots at the end of the challenge.
No. And be drunk like that.
Boom! Everybody, and
It went by
There we
like,
go.
hey.
Oh, me so.
we made it. Oh,
Food.
We're eating
and I broke it.
This is part of the challenge.
Huh?
Giraffe.
Which one? The middle?
I'm not eating that thing.
I don't know what that is.
That's a
Bear.
We were doing bear calls, you
Bar.
guys, the bear was up on the screen.
Oh, really? No, I did not.
We need your help.
There you go.
I had to
Oh,
leave
yeah.
the room.
Let's watch.
Man, I broke the power cord.
Chandler did it.
It was the alcohol.
It was tequila.
Tequila. Okay, so after tequila, then,
So after tequila, because it's made from agave,
okay.
is best because it's gluten-free. It's not going to have a lot of the issues associated with
Just
any
can't
kind
mix it with
of
anything.
beers. Yeah. You can actually have a NorCal margarita. Tequila, a little bit of soda water, fresh lime. I think some people nowadays are calling it a skinny
They
margarita.
have skinnies.
Yeah.
Because I ordered it, they were like, "Oh, you want a skinny margarita?" I was like, "Yes." I was like, "I actually call that a NorCal."
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Actually, bring me 3 of them and a cat. So you want to consume your alcohol in moderation. A lot of people like to drink wine. It's somewhat of an acceptable choice, but you just want a small glass a day. Not a huge glass, not a carafe, not a glass of wine. So wine may improve a little bit of insulin sensitivity. There was a study that said it was really healthy, and then that study's been debunked, so that's no good anymore if you've read that. Beer is bad. Most people are always sad about that. It's full of gluten.
Fermentation.
Yeah.
Fermentation, that's right.
So beer is full of gluten. It usually has gluten in it. I put sad face on here if you could see
Thank
it.
you.
So it says sad
It's working
face.
on it.
So beer is bad. It has gluten in it. There's gluten-free beer too, but that contains sorghum, and a lot of the times we react just the same
That's
way.
called
to that
white
kind of
water.
beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're on the weight loss protocol, just get rid of it. It's not going to help you in any way. So next thing we're going to talk about is artificial sweeteners. Avoid them. There's a little thing we call food porn. It's a concept where the taste of something sweet stimulates an insulin response. Then you get the same kind of fat storage effect from that. So you want to avoid any kind of artificial sweeteners. We used to say things like stevia were okay, but then people take in stevia and they're like, oh man, I like sugar. And then you wake up with the cheeseburger wrapper on your face. So we don't want you guys, we want to reduce the potential for failure.
I have a problem with dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate is a vice we'll talk about. It's exciting. So diet soda, just avoid it. Same concept, food porn, it'll affect your insulin levels. People who drink diet soda are often associated with people who don't lose weight or who gain it back. So just avoid that sweet taste. You start hardwiring your brain to say, I need that sugar, I need that soda. It's so delicious, what am I going to do without it? So then you just kind of grab your water or tea and sip on it. It's just as good, I swear. Finally, dark chocolate. If you want it as a vice, you have to take in a small amount. On your weight loss protocol, you really, really want to limit it because it's going to be number 4 thing that reduces your potential to lose weight. If you do get it, you want to find the highest cacao content you can, 70% or above. So it's dark, dark, dark chocolate. It's rich in antioxidants, and it can actually improve insulin sensitivity and a couple other things. But remember, if you're having trouble losing weight, get rid of it. Next thing, coffee and tea. I always say you can have an unlimited amount of coffee and tea, as long as your coffee isn't coffee, milk, sugar. Then it's no longer coffee, then it's just like a milkshake.
Never mind.
And milkshakes are delicious, but we don't drink them on the challenge. So coffee is rich in flavonoids, which are antioxidants. Either's not a bad choice. Remember, don't add anything to it. They can improve insulin profiles, and this doesn't matter if it's caffeinated or not. So a lot of people think caffeine's evil. Caffeine's not evil unless it's a crutch. If you're drinking 14 Americanos a day, then we probably have a problem. But if you're drinking like a couple cups in the morning, maybe 2 or 3 cups a day, you're going to be fine. The next thing is, it's not a vice following a paleo diet. It's going to be fine. Drink your coffee and tea just as long as they're black and there's nothing in it. Questions? Here's my picture. This picture's pretty exciting when it comes up. Yes?
Well, can you put your coconut milk in your coffee or tea?
You can put coconut milk in your coffee.
And coconut oil.
You can. There's Bulletproof Coffee. It makes you feel like you can run through a brick wall. It's pretty exciting. You take your coffee, you put your coconut oil or your MCT oil in the coffee, and you put a little pasteurized butter in there.
What?
It's really exciting.
That sounds
The
crazy.
fat, it's amazing. The fat actually binds with the caffeine, and it makes it a lot more stimulating. You take it in, you're like, I'm awake, I've had a cup of coffee, I'm ready to take on the day, and you're golden for like 7 hours.
Go to the bathroom. Everything goes through.
At first, you will go to the bathroom. Steph?
The coconut milk in your coffee, they do make So Delicious coconut creamer.
Yep.
That is not okay.
Nope.
Full of sugar.
Yep.
Okay? Unsweetened coconut milk.
I actually like to take the stuff from the can, scrape off the top, and then pour that in my coffee.
But the unsweetened coconut cream that they sell doesn't have any sugar in it.
They have an unsweetened creamer? Okay.
Yeah,
If you
it's
find
the one
unsweetened
that's the
creamer-
red, the little red one, they
I
sell
haven't
at
seen
Whole
it.
Foods.
Is that one
They
unsweetened?
only sell it at Whole
As
Foods.
long as it's unsweet, that's what we want.
But yeah, it's unsweetened, doesn't.
Okay, so you can't see the fun picture, but it says that wheat protein is surrounded by antibodies, but he's not backing down. Then it says he's a gluten for punishment. That's exciting. So any other questions before we move on? All right. So pseudo grains, it's always like, well, can I eat this? This one's sprouted, but this one's quinoa, this one's quinoa, this one's blah. So what we want to do is if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, then it's probably a duck. So this is Steph. Oh man,
That's
can't
not
see the front picture yet. So there's a picture of someone holding a duck. It says, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, then it's probably a duck. So your pseudo grains are going to be the same kind of issues associated with regular grains or real grains. So the next one I'll talk about is, I think there's like 27 ways to say this. Some people say quinoa, some people say quinoa. If there's any other pronunciations, feel free to throw them out.
It's a quinoa.
So quinoa has similar properties to grains. Though it can be gluten-free, the proteins in quinoa look a lot like gliadin, the wheat protein. So it's going to react the same. Your body's going to see it and say, oh, it kind of looks like gluten, but it's not really. I'm going to attack it anyway. And then you get the autoimmune response and a lot of other issues. It's really fibrous and it can irritate the gut because of how fibrous it is. It contains things like saponins, which can basically punch holes in the intestinal microvilli. And then you get that issue with leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome, and all kinds of other fun autoimmune issues. They're used in vaccine research to make an intense immunological response from the body. So it's one of the ways they can test vaccines. So I always say avoid this stuff. Not okay on the challenge. Sprouted grains. So this is the next thing we always get. So can I take these sprouted grains because they're awesome, because they're sprouting? And no. So sprouted grains are not okay on our paleo challenge. You want to avoid them because even after they're sprouted, they contain trace amounts of gluten. Celiacs are not allowed to take in sprouted grains because it can be a danger for a potential for an allergic reaction. So in our challenge, we want to reduce the potential for allergens, so we reduce sprouted grains. So those are out.
What is a sprouted grain?
So it's basically a grain, and it's sprouted, so it's supposed to get rid of the husk or the hull, and it makes the grain a little more healthy.
Really? Like
It's supposed to make
Yeah.
it more digestible.
Yeah, because it's getting rid of the hole that's on the grain.
So is there a grain that is suggested?
There's no suggested grains.
Okay.
There's a non-suggested
You
grain.
stay out of the line.
Yeah.
Green
You
bag.
can see a picture of me like this, and you say, can I eat grains? And I'm like this. Oh, it hasn't caught on to that. It's okay. It's not that exciting.
We never saw the duck.
Maybe I guess a duck.
The duck's fun.
Sprouted grains.
So sprouted grains do have a better nutrient profile, but they still contain trace amounts of gluten, so we want to avoid them. Soy. So it's always like, oh yeah, can I have my tofu? And all that fun stuff. So soy is a no-no. It's one of the most genetically modified foods that we have in the world today. So we always just want to avoid all soy. The way it's prepared now, it can cause kind of issues with fertility, especially in men, and lower sperm count. So those are from isoflavones. They get the reputation of being this awesome antioxidant, but then people who take a lot in have issues having kids. So we want to avoid soy. So I have a study up here. It's soy, food, and isoflavones intake in relation to semen quality parameters among men from an infertility clinic. The takeaway from this study is that too much soy makes the babies go away, or makes the babies non-existent. So if you have anyone you know who has an issue with having children, one of the big things you can do is to have them eliminate soy for a while. It can really make a big difference.
But they say soy is good for you.
They do. They also say grains are good for us, so those are both pretty bad.
Soy actually increases your breast cancer risk too.
Which is the best.
So another thing we want to look at is soy protein. That's a big popular thing nowadays too. Basically, soy protein is a waste product from the making of soybean oil. So they make the soybean oil, and they say, hey, what do we do with all this protein? And then the supplement companies decided, well, that's really cheap. We can buy that and use it. So then they purchase it, and they just use this waste product to put in our foods. So that's why you see soy protein is one of the top things in a lot of processed foods today, and a lot of those vegetarian proteins. So the last thing, the traditional way soy was prepared is actually a pretty healthy way to eat soy. So it has to be prepared to get rid of the digestion irritators and the phytoestrogen that stays. In order to do that, it has to be soaked in water from at least 2 up to 24 hours, preferably 24 hours. And these are traditional methods of preparation for soy. Nobody does it this way anymore. And that's why we have so many issues associated with it. So if you traditionally prepare your soy and you're soaking it in water, you're awesome. But most people don't have that luxury to soak it. Now, next thing is the issue is related to dairy consumption. If you're on the weight loss protocol, we just nix dairy. It's going to be an inhibitor for your weight loss. We don't want it in there. It's not well tolerated by a lot of people. It could be on our athletic protocol people, we have them taking grass-fed, grass-finished dairy. It can help them out a lot in their growth and their muscle gain and their strength gain, a lot of that stuff. So the reason it's not very well tolerated by a lot of us, and the reason a lot of people are lactose intolerant, is because our body produces the enzyme lactase until we're about 2 years old, because that's about how long you need to consume milk from the mother, even though it's usually 6 months of breastfeeding or anything like that. So you lose that enzyme that's used to digest it after 2 years old, and then when your body takes it in, it doesn't have any way to use it, so it just has an allergic response or another issue. Next thing, casein is the milk protein. We generally want to, if we're doing proteins, we generally want that protein to be more of a whey base. Casein is going to be the protein that causes allergic responses and issues. Same thing associated with gluten. Your body recognizes it and says, I don't know what that is, it's a foreign invader, so then it attacks it. Dairy can also be high glycemic, so it leads to higher insulin levels. It also has growth promoters, IGF-1, that causes acne in children a lot of the times. Cancer cells could possibly develop faster, in theory. So with dairy, we use these as a benefit for our athletic people, our people on an athletic protocol, trying to gain size or strength and all that, because we can use these growth promoters to make us a lot stronger, a lot faster. But in our weight loss protocol, we generally don't want that. So we want to lose the weight, so we lose the dairy. There's a t-shirt. Lose the weight, lose the dairy. And you can show a cow with its like behind facing you. So if you are on the athletic protocol and you are consuming dairy, it should be from a grass-fed, grass-finished cow. And I know Smith's has a really good selection of grass-fed dairy now. Whole Foods has it. Anyone else? I think Rayleigh's has a couple of good brands too. I can vouch for Smith's though. I've looked up their stuff and it's really good. Make sure you get the one that's actually their organic label though. Or if you have a local farmer who will milk it for you, that's even better.
It's illegal in Nevada.
Oh yeah, dang the legal things.
Raw milk.
It gets us. We don't want the raw milk police to take us down, so. We'll start a raw milk black market. I'm just kidding. It's
It's on tape.
yeah, now it's on tape. We'll be shut down in a week. So the next thing is issues associated with legumes, because we don't want you to eat anything, and that includes peanuts. So no peas, no beans, none of that stuff. So the problem with peanuts and all these legumes is they have to be cooked in order to be edible. Otherwise, they're poisonous. If you eat anything raw from a legume standpoint, you're going to get really sick and have a lot of problems associated with it. The other problem is they contain phytates and lectins. So what happens with these is you take in the bean, and the common fallacy is that you're going to take it in, the lectins are going to make no nutrients available. The lectins and the phytates are actually bound to the beans when you take them in, and they make most of the nutrients not available when you consume the beans, so it just kind of goes out. We call it a developing world protein. It's not ideal. It's something that you consume if you have to. Well, we used to call it a third world protein, but I think that's not politically correct anymore. So it's all about developing world. Next thing is rice. We avoid rice. It's sometimes a sad thing. We can use rice on our athletic protocol people because it has a less of a chance for producing allergens. Because our athletic protocol need a lot of carbohydrates to fuel their activities. But on our weight loss protocol, we don't want that extra fuel, so we want to eliminate it. It's just a filler. Phytates in rice, mostly in brown rice, it's going to be the worst off for you because it has the hull, so it's going to have a lot of the digestion irritators still attached to it. So for our athletic people, we have them consume white rice, which is usually a shocker. You can't consume brown rice. You're out of control, man. Get out of here. So that's usually just like an eye-opener. Wild rice is actually acceptable on a paleo diet because it's a grass, even though it's a little bit harder to find. And finally, rice is only advised on an athletic protocol. Otherwise, we cut it out. Next thing I have is, this is usually a big question. What about cholesterol? I'm eating eggs, I'm probably going to die in 3 to 5 days from cholesterol. So dietary cholesterol intake is not an issue associated with cholesterol consumption. You have the mevalonic pathway that's, you have an enzyme in there called HMG-CoA reductase. it basically regulates whether or not we're going to use the excess cholesterol we take in. So it's going to turn it on if you don't have enough, it's going to turn it off if you take too much. So if you eat too much, it'll just turn it off and you won't use it. If you don't eat enough, it's going to produce it itself for your body. So you're not going to have an issue unless you have familial hypercholesterolemia, FH, I like to call it, because it's easier to say. If anybody has that, then you do have an issue with cholesterol, and you do need to watch your cholesterol. Otherwise, I don't think anybody has that, so everybody's okay. So don't worry about the egg consumption. On this diet, you're going to see your cholesterol levels, your blood pressure levels, and all of these indicators lower, and it's going to be magic. And your doctor's going to say, what did you do? You say, well, I did this paleo challenge. And then your doctor will either say, oh, that's awesome, or, oh, no, that's going to kill you. Even though your parameters are a lot better, you're probably going to die now. So what we'll go over next is sodium. That's the next big issue usually. But what about, is all this sodium going to kill me? So only about 5 to 10% of people are actually affected by high sodium intake. It's often just a genetic marker that you have. There's little evidence that shows a benefit from long-term sodium reduction. And there's actually a couple new studies that say chronic low sodium may decrease insulin sensitivity, aka pre-diabetes, and it can raise the risk of heart disease. So as a society, we're chronically low in sodium because that's on the food guide pyramid, I think, and now we have the highest rates of heart disease in the world as well. Correlation doesn't mean causation, but we can correlate a lot of stuff because it's fun. So a key to this is low sodium diet does not reduce hypertension, but it is associated with rates of death from CVD. So this is a study I put in here. It kind of talks about it, gives you the conclusions and the backgrounds. If you guys want a copy of the presentation, I'll send it to you since we have like a 14-hour delay. So,
The airplane keeps turning off.
oh, Steph says the airplane keeps turning off. I think she's right. Yeah, when everything's break, I call her. Fixes it. So any questions? We're about done. This is a spot to stop for questions.
Will you
Yes,
talk about legumes, beans, green beans okay with paleo?
we probably should avoid the green beans on our first 30 days. We want to avoid all the, well, maybe it's paleo kind of things. If you have to think about it usually, it's usually not okay. But, well, it's kind of paleo. It says there's fat in it.
Are there shopping lists in the?
Yeah. So there's a full 30-day meal plan, and then all the meals, all the recipes. There's also the StoneAgeFuel weight loss guide in there. There's the athletic protocol in there, the supplement guide. So everything we talked about is in there, just a little more brief.
Your question.
Yes.
Does the athletic protocol, is it going to be different, obviously, because you need, more carbs?
Yeah, so the athletic protocol is dramatic.
However, say for instance, I'm in here every single day, and I need more carbs because I have no energy or whatever, but I'm also trying to lose weight. Is it going to hinder that? I mean,
So for you, because you're in here and you're skating, I would put you on more of an quasi-athletic protocol.
but I can still lose weight doing it that
Yeah,
way.
because you're working so much. And if you see you're not getting results,
Yeah.
we'll cut it back a little
So-
bit.
okay.
We'll play with it for you,
Okay.
since you're in here like 24/7.
Yeah.
So, oh man, this is a really fun song. Chef hates it. Let's see if
Doesn't
it'll,
work out of here,
it's
remember?
probably not going to work. I'll post it on our Facebook page though, so everybody should check it out. I think I did post it a while back.
You posted it
Oh,
a
it's a
days
song.
ago on your.
Yeah, it's a glucose song. It
Glucose.
brings up my inner biochemist and makes me happy. So, we're going to talk about the competitive athlete protocol. So, this protocol is for people who are in here trying to be competitive or in here doing other things, running around, constantly moving. If we're doing that and we're not trying to lose weight, the athletic protocol is here to fuel you. The recommended carbohydrates for fueling the competitive athlete or the athlete who's out here just working hard are sweet potatoes, fruits, and wild or white rice. So we let our athletes have a little bit of leeway, because generally our athletic protocol people are already at the weight they want to be, or they're close to it, and they want a little bit of a step up in their game. So for the athletic protocol, we recommend you consume 1 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight in protein. That is a lot of protein. You have to consume protein at every meal, and you have to supplement with shakes a lot of the time in order to make up for what you're using. So for example, a 150-pound person would have to consume 1.5 times that for their protein intake. It's a lot of protein. But this is going to help fuel us and make us capable of performing the way we want to be at the performance level we want to be at. So a 150-pound person would need to consume 150 grams to 225 grams of protein per day. That's a lot of protein if you pay attention to the amounts. Carbohydrates, we recommend our competitive athletes consume 2 to 3 grams per pound of body weight per day in carbohydrates. There's a common fallacy out there that you don't need to consume carbohydrates to be a good athlete, and that's wrong. If you're going to use glucose, you have to bring glucose back in. So you need carbohydrates to fuel yourself. You're never going to be at your top level of performance if you're not consuming carbohydrates. A low carbohydrate, high protein diet will work for a little bit, but eventually you'll break down, especially in our longer efforts. And then for the competitive athletes, you guys get to have a little more fun. You can add fats whenever you want. I always recommend a shot glass full of coconut milk in the morning as a pick-me-up.
Milk or
Oil. Coconut oil. Yeah, oil. So in the morning, put that oil in your coffee, put that butter in your coffee, and then you have Bulletproof Coffee.
Wow, I still.
So the oil, like coconut oil, it comes like in like a goo,
Yeah, so you have to heat it up in the microwave
and then
shoot it real quick.
The microwave doesn't kill anything in it that we need?
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. The fat's really, really good at adapting to heat. So the athlete supplements, actually, I think a lot of, if you're in here training and you're doing CrossFit and strength training and a lot of this stuff, I think BCAAs or your aminos are really, really, really important for your recovery and repair. I take a lot of it a day, Steph takes it, most of our competitive athletes have some sort of BCAA they're taking. It's really, really, it's a big difference in how well you perform and how well you feel. This is going to make you feel a lot better every day. It's involved in cellular replication and repair, decreases your muscle damage and soreness. It's important to recover especially for like Erica here who's skating and here a couple times a day and moving around all the time. I always say take it at least a few hours before bed because it can interfere with sleep. It interferes with tryptophan in our brain, makes it so we can't sleep very well. After you've taken it for a while, it won't cause any issues with sleep. Like I can take it 5 minutes before bed and pass out. Some people can't. So you really want to play with it. Don't take it before you have to do like a big thing the next day early because you're like, I didn't sleep at all. 10 to 20 grams a day is pretty sufficient. Usually that'll kind of keep you where you need to be and keep you feeling great. We recommend, it was hard for us to find an amino to recommend because it either tastes horrible or it's made horribly. So we finally came across a brand that's made in a coconut water base, and it's Muscle Farms Amino 1. It was actually made specifically for the CrossFit crowd. So we're really, really happy with it. We worked with them for a long time to actually get it. We have their product now, and the rep's he's always on us. He answers any questions we have about it. Because anytime we recommend a supplement, we hound on them. We send them emails, we call them, we look at the product, we analyze it. So we can confidently recommend it finally. So I have a study in here that talks about exercise-induced muscle damage is reduced in resistance-trained males by BCAAs. So the key is BCAAs before and after workouts can reduce muscle damage and soreness. So it's a really, really important component to our nutrition. BCAAs are also found in things like meat. So eating meat products is where you're going to get them from. Next thing for our athlete supplements is creatine. So creatine gets kind of a bad rap because increasing water retention and a bunch of other stuff the bodybuilders talk about that I don't pay attention to anymore because they just do this and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting man. You're in a bikini and you're flexing and I can see your butt cheeks, so something happening today. So taken before bed, it can stimulate the release of growth hormone, which is going to substantially decrease your recovery time from working out and increase your strength. It's basically stimulating an anabolic compound, so it's like working out while you sleep. It's pretty amazing how well it works. So weight and strength gain, you can get a big, big increase in strength from creatine supplementation before bed. Often, if you're on a weight loss protocol, it probably won't hinder your weight loss, but you kind of want to play with it. Doesn't mean everybody needs to jump on creatine, but if you're kind of doing your CrossFit and you're trying to get stronger, it's going to help you get stronger a lot faster. Yeah,
But there's a difference between stronger and leaner.
yeah,
Like, I want to lose weight, but that's more because I want to lean out. I don't care that I'm gaining muscle
yeah.
weight.
Yeah, so Erica has a good point. You can get stronger, and you might not see the scale get smaller, but you're going to see your inches get smaller. You're going to be real compact and solid.
What brand do you guys, because like